Hi, I'm Michael Heim with the Business Exchange. We're here today with Dale Willerton. Thanks for coming out, Dale. Dale is with the Lease Coach, and my question to you today is, do I require a lawyer for a lease?
Well, legally you do not require a lawyer. I was speaking at a major franchise show in the United States, and I asked that question to the audience. I had about 75 people in the room, all virgin franchisees about to buy or that had just bought franchises and were going to go out and start doing site selection, right? And working on their lease. And I said, who in the room, by a show of hands, thinks you need a lawyer or an attorney to help you? And one fellow shot out, well, of course I need a lawyer. And I said, okay, why do you think you need a lawyer? And this is what he said, Michael. He said, I need a lawyer to make sure the lease agreement is legal. And I said, no, you don't. I've done over 1,200 commercial lease projects. I used to work for landlords. You know, for the past 20 years I've been working for tenants, but prior to that I worked for landlords. And the commercial real estate leases are perfectly legally binding. You know, you don't need a lawyer to tell you it's legal. You have to remember that this is a real estate transaction, and you have to take the right tool. If you drive around town and you look at all the for lease signs that landlords have put on their buildings, it doesn't say for lease, call our lawyer. It says for lease, call our real estate agent. Yeah. This is a real estate transaction. And so if you were going to use a lawyer, I would recommend you don't use them for the negotiation part, because landlords often see lawyers as deal killers, not as deal makers, you see, and the landlord wants to make a deal. So if you did use a lawyer, use them at the end to review your documents. But here's the key. Very few lawyers specialize in commercial real estate, and most of the ones who do work for landlords, not tenants, you see. So that lawyer may say, well, yes, I've done a whole bunch of commercial leases, but chances are he did most of them for landlords, and he was trying to help landlords on that side. So don't put too much weight on the lawyer who's maybe sitting on the 10th floor of an office tower, hasn't driven out to the property. Sometimes they tend to write letters instead of communicating verbally. Lawyers are known for that. If you're having a legal dispute with your landlord, absolutely use a lawyer. If you're suing your landlord, use a lawyer. But to negotiate a real estate deal through your lawyer will probably not work that well for you. I've got so many stories where tenants have come back to me, Michael, and they said, you know, even though I thought the lawyer did an okay job, not a great job, but an okay job, I wouldn't use him again. And I say, how come? And they say, well, every time we hit a road bump in the negotiation, it cost me another $1,000. It was all billable hours. And this one tenant said it cost him over $20,000 to do one lease transaction, and it wasn't even finished yet. You see, it's the billable hours can really creep up on you. So you have to be careful. If you start using a lawyer, it's pretty hard to stop using a lawyer because you're going on and on and on and on. And if you don't do that lease and you decide to go to a different property, all your billable hours start over. Okay? And so ideally you want a real estate consultant or a leasing consultant, someone with experience in the industry, who's actually been in the industry, and who you are controlling and who can work with you. When it comes to doing a lease document review, one of the big mistakes that lawyers do is a tenant will send the lawyer the lease agreement, and the lawyer will go through the lease agreement and make red line changes, okay, correcting it, right? Mm-hmm. And then send it back to the tenant. Well, the tenant often calls me up and says, well, what do I do with this? I don't know why he made those changes. He didn't spend a lot of time on the phone with me. If I send this to the landlord, they're not going to like it. You see, a lot of tenants want to do their own negotiation with the landlord. So they need to be shown what's broken in the lease agreement, but how to negotiate to fix it. Okay? I could go out to the parking lot after this interview and see that I've got a flat tire. Doesn't mean I know how to fix it. Right? Somebody says, Dale, you got a flat tire. Well, great, but what do I do now? And that's where lawyers leave tenants high and dry. They say, that's not a good clause. It shouldn't say that. But the lawyer doesn't have any practical experience negotiating for that clause to change. Mm-hmm. So be careful if you start using a lawyer. Too often it's someone that was referred to you, someone that you used maybe on a residential real estate transaction, and they aren't savvy with commercial real estate.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Thank you.